this, and your mom says, no, you can't do that. So you're like, oh, okay, well, if something inside of you is telling you to do something specific, like go out in the woods, you can say no to that too,
A lot of people do, and they miss out. I realized, what that fine line was, because I had it one day, years ago. I got this serious buzz. It said, go out in the woods, go out in the woods. And I had a million other things on my mind that I wanted to do. So I just kind of shied it away. And the day got progressively worse, and progressively worse, and progressively worse. The voice never returned. It just got progressively worse. And then I found, it was weird. It was like, I suddenly had this flash of awareness within. I was really paying attention to what the hell's going on here. And I looked, and I didn't reason anything out. There was nothing to reason out. It was all confusing. I said, I'm going out to the woods, and I'm going to go sit in the woods. And off I went and sat there. Took a while. Took a long while for, the universe to acknowledge me. I felt like I was, a kid sitting in the corner, shunned and taken out of the play. That's what I felt like. But then when I got out there, then I realized, well, wait a minute. I had this thought earlier today. And I probably wouldn't have had to go through any of that if I actually followed it. Right? Or I would have went through that, what I went through, but I would have went through it in a state where I can understand it. Because when you're in the emotional funk, there is no making sense of it. You make sense of it afterwards, when you've released it and floated back up. Because all this stuff we pick up, all the opinions, all the ideas, all the judgments, all the miscommunications, all the lack of communications, all the lies, all the everything. It's like you're in a hot air balloon, and your soul's the balloon, and it's totally capable of lifting you off the ground, and you just start tying weights to it. Start tying weights. So your perspective is lowered. So now you're just in, the lowest perspective you have. You're not getting it, the high perspective, because you're not floating up there. You've got all this stuff you've attached to it, right? We'll cut it off and float back up. And when that happens, So these experiences where you should go out sitting out in the woods. You just do it. If you neglect it, you have to deal with what happens next. If you don't, you may still have to deal with what was going to happen next, what happened next anyway, but it would be from a different vantage point. You understand what I mean? So it's like emotional behavior. Behavior derived from emotion, way beyond our control. That's the culprit. In spiritual development, in any development, there's the culprit. It will seize your power and ruin you. Make sense to you?
It does.
Yeah?
Yeah, and then, listening to the voice, that whatever it is that you had that feeling where you needed to go somewhere or do something, the momentum of that, there's a momentum to breaking that. But if you get in the momentum of doing that, maybe interesting things would happen. Who knows?
Right. You know what it's like not doing that. But yeah, you don't get to know what would have happened if you don't go.
Right.
So, and it's very strange because I know several people who have talked to me about that very experience, right? And they have this little notch of regret in them now. Like, like their whole life spilled out of control.
Because of one moment that they missed, one missed opportunity?
Yeah, because something said you need to go sit down, regroup yourself, and relax, and really, get true about this, honest about this. And they didn't. And so what happens, they just went out and just ruined, basically sabotaged anything good they had going on. They sabotage it, right? Mm. And then the sense of regret is, if I would have just done that, if I would have just listened, I would have been sitting, I would have probably figured this out and wouldn't have had to do any of that. And you get a lot of loss when you do that. People experience a ton of loss when they go on a rampage because they're unwilling to look. Especially, when something tells you to look and you feel that, that's help. You don't want help? I would. For everybody who doesn't want help, I'll take yours.
People talk about following their heart, and basically what you're describing is the opposite of that.
Follow the sticker, where that says "Follow your heart." It should say "Follow your heart," unless your mind won't allow it. You know what I mean? Because that's what happens. people, they think take the heart as mind. Well, they think about, well, why would I do that? I don't have time for that, or
The million reasons not
yeah,
to.
that's behavior. Behavior is not running around screaming, and that's not behavior. That is an effect from behavior. Behavior is in the mind. All behavior is mental, right? All tweaks and the weird things people do, it's all mental. It's in their head, right? And since they don't listen to their heart, they haven't woken that soul up inside of them. They haven't realized they are the soul. They're not the mind. You got a lot of people who believe that their thoughts are the truth. These random things that go on, they believe these to be true. They believe this to be real. They believe their thoughts to be them. And so they're in their mind. They're locked there. That's their reality. They don't understand emotion. They try to avoid it at all costs. And spirit of any kind, if they go to church, and it stops there. They show up on Sunday, sing the songs, eat the bread and drink the Kool-Aid, and they're done.
Again, waiting for Jesus or whoever to.
Right.
Yeah. Want to take a little break?